What's up, everybody? My name is Max. I'm a big fan of ASMR, and I just decided to give it a shot. I've never done it before, but I got a new computer, and I figured I'd give it a shot because I really like ASMR. It's helped me get to sleep, and sometimes I just put it on in the background while I'm doing other stuff, and it helps me relax and focus. So I figured for my very first video, as you can see behind me, I collect old media, so I could do like a whole episode about my VHS tapes. I got a lot of tapes, DVDs, games, toys, just because I'm a huge nerd. Yeah, so I figured today I would talk about some Game Boy games, because it's fun to hear the sounds. So, yeah, I got this GoPro bag, and it's full of the Game Boy games I've got right now. So, first things first, what have I got loaded up already? So, if you're not familiar, this is a Game Boy Advance, but specifically, this is a Game Boy Advance SP. These were released in the mid-2000s, and they're a hardware revision of the Game Boy Advance that has a clamshell design. So, it has a very satisfying close. This is my favorite thing. As a kid, I really loved the sound of opening and closing this. It's got one of the best tactile feedback. Not only that, but the sound of turning it on. It's very satisfying. I have the volume low on this so it doesn't blast. But, so, you open it up. You can hear the D-pad, the buttons, and, this is one of the most nostalgic things for me, having grown up in the 90s and 2000s. I was a teenager when this came out, and so I played a lot of games on this. So, the game I'm currently playing is, if you can recognize it, that's Pokemon Gold. Pokemon Gold, but this is actually a Japanese copy. So it's way easier to get Japanese copies, and by easier, I also mean cheaper, of Pokemon games. I've been to Japan 3 times now, and I always get a couple of Pokemon games because they're so much cheaper there. I don't speak Japanese. I'm trying to learn Japanese, but as of right now, I can play Pokemon Generation 1 and Generation 2 just by sheer memory. Like, I have memorized those games, so I don't have to be reading to know what's going on. I can just play the whole game by heart. I might be able to do that for Generation 3 as well, but for sure, I've beaten all of Pokemon Red without knowing what's going on at all, and I'm pretty close to beating Pokemon Gold before, so. Right now, in Pokemon Gold, I am trying to get a shiny Totodile, so let me turn it on. So right now, I have a save file. As you can see, it's all in freaking Japanese. But my save file is right in front of the Pokeballs, in front of the professor. See, there's Totodile. I'm gonna do one shiny check. The music is very nostalgic to me. You gotta give it a nickname. Uh-oh. Well, that's not a good sign. The game just froze. Oh well, I'll shiny check later. But anyway, that's game number 1 is Pokemon Gold, Japanese. I got a lot of games, so I'm just gonna try to spread them out, so that there's some interesting things going never actually played before. I bought this for like, yeah, look. Sorry if that was loud. You can't really see the sticker. I bought this for $5. Sorry, I don't know if it's better for me to talk like normal but quiet, or if I should say keep whispering. I feel like the whisper is more relaxing. You guys tell me, is my normal but quiet speaking voice better, or is whispering better? Since I've been doing whispering, I'll keep doing it. Anyway, I bought this. It's a Lego Bionicle game, and I've actually never played it. I have no idea if it's any good. But it was so cheap, and I love Bionicle that I had to get it. This game came out in 2001, and it is created by Sapphire. Oh my gosh. Sorry, this is not... this is probably not very interesting to watch me fumble around. But there's actually... somebody has created a save file and named it Jacob. So, somebody has played this. So, that was game number 2. Was Bionicle 2001. I know there's actually quite a few Bionicle games for the Game Boy Advance specifically, but that one's just called Bionicle. I don't know. Alright, so this, you could probably already tell just by the color. This might be the game I've played the most in my life. It's probably the game that I've beaten the most in my life. It's the game that I have completed to the end the most. And that's because it's Pokemon Red, baby. Pokemon Red. So when I was a kid, Pokemon was huge. And it's still pretty huge now, but it's hard to understate that everybody I knew who was a kid in 1997, 1998 or whatever, they had Pokemon Red or Blue. And I love this game so much, I played it over and over again. Whenever I hung out with my friends, we were trading Pokemon, we were battling. I completed the Pokédex. I did everything you could do in this game. Plus, there's a bunch of glitches, so that's the only way to get Mew, other than some bullshit official events. So you had to do some crazy glitches, but Pokemon Red. So real quick, I want to take a look at it. So, I know this game so well, obviously. Like I said, I've beaten it in English and Japanese. The problem is, I'm very impatient, and I don't like to do grinding. And if you've played Pokemon, you know you kind of have to do a little bit of grinding at some point. So you can see here, it's hard to see, but that says max 8 badges. So on this save file, I have gotten to the Elite Four, but I have not beaten the Elite Four. I'm at the end. That's hard to see. But I am at the Indigo Plateau, right outside. And the reason is, if I open up my Pokemon, I've got a Pikachu, a Charizard, I've got a Gyarados, a Dugtrio, I'm using Articuno, and I have a Kadabra. I nickname all my Pokemon, but they are level 28, 36, 43, 35, 52, and 42. And the 52 is an Articuno, because you catch Articuno at 50. So, I am severely underleveled. I've got some Pokemon. My Pikachu is less than level 30, and I'm at the Elite Four. That's a big problem. I would get my ass kicked. I've tried to beat the Elite Four with this team, and I have to do grinding. So, I'm stuck at this point until I get the balls to go and grind up. But Pokemon Red is one of my favorite games of all time. I've beaten it this way. I've beaten Pokemon Hey You Pikachu, or Let's Go Pikachu. I've beaten Pokemon Fire Red. So I've beaten Pokemon Red in 3 different games. And as many times as you can imagine with different teams. I've beaten Pokemon Blue. I've beaten Pokemon Green in Japanese. So yeah, I'm a bit of a Pokehead. I don't like the modern games, but Pokemon Gen 1, 2, and 3 are my favorite. Pokemon Red, game number 3. Breath of Fire 2. Now, most people have probably never heard of Breath of Fire, but they are games I believe they were originally released either for the Super Nintendo or the PlayStation 1. But these games are very aesthetic. They're classic RPGs, kind of like Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest. Look, there's already a save file on here. This is not my save file because I bought this game again. I had this game when I was a kid. I've never played any of the other Breath of Fires, I don't think. But this one, for some reason, I had it as a kid, and I played it all the time. And I think I got stuck, like, pretty far into the game. Like, you get to a town where you're supposed to get, like, on a boat or something, but I didn't know what to do. So I actually don't know if I've ever beaten it. I'd like to apologize in advance. I live right next to a train, and so you may hear some train sounds. I'm gonna leave that in because it's the natural ambiance. But I apologize if you hear the train. Anyway, Breath of Fire 2. It's a game that I really enjoyed. It has a good story, good characters. I would recommend it. Even if you've never played Japanese RPGs, JRPGs. I'm not even a big JRPG fan, but this is one that I played a lot as a kid. So that was game number 4. So we're gonna kind of dip back and forth. I figured I've already talked about Pokemon Red, but I do in fact have a Japanese copy as well. In fact, I've been to Japan 3 times, and the first time I went to Japan was 10 years ago, about in 2016. And I got a bunch of Pokemon games back then for dirt cheap. I have a picture, and I got them all at Book Off, loose, for about like $4 or $5 each. Some of them were as cheap as like $2 or $3. Back then, the reason they were so cheap is because they're everywhere, and nobody wanted them. But now, Pokemon games are very expensive, especially English copies of the games are going for a lot. So, this copy of Pokemon Red would probably sell $50, $60, $70 right now. And that's without the box. If you had the box, it would be worth a lot more. Here comes the train. But yeah, as I was saying, this is Pokemon Red Japanese. I can still beat and enjoy this game, and eventually, when I do learn Japanese, this is a good game to start because these are games meant for kids. So they have very simple, easy to understand, Japanese. So I recommend, if you are a Pokemon fan, if you're ever in Japan, try to buy a couple Japanese Pokemon games. They're cheap, and if you know the games well enough, you can still enjoy them just fine. So, let's see what else we got in here. Alright, so this game is Spider-Man by Activision, and the name, it says Patrick on the back. This game, I have played this, but it is not a great game. But it's cool because this was a gift from one of my old roommates before I moved. So it was a nice thought, and I love Spider-Man the game. This game looks like it was released probably at the same time as the PlayStation 1, Dreamcast, and N64 Spider-Man game by Activision. So that's one of my favorite games of all time. So it makes sense why you would give me this, because I talked about that game a lot. I have played this. This game is hard. It's pretty easy, but until you get to the first boss, which is Venom, and he absolutely kicks my ass. So I don't know how to beat this game. I will maybe another time. I figure maybe one time I will play a lot of these games on stream, so that would be fun. So, Spider-Man, that was game number 6 or something. I have a lot of Pokemon games, so I figure let's do this. This is a Japanese version of Pokemon Crystal. In Generation 2, it was Gold and Silver, but back then they used to release a third version of their games. So, for Pokemon Red and Blue, they released Yellow, which was the Pikachu version, and then they released, for Gold and Silver, the Crystal version. This version has a slightly different story, where you're guaranteed to catch Suicune, the legendary dog on the front. You still have to catch the other 2 dogs randomly, but the story is different, and you can play. This is the first Pokemon game where you can play as a girl. You could choose to be feminine. So, this game has a lot of nostalgia for me. I played pretty much every version of every Pokemon game up until the end of Gen 3, and then I fell off with the Nintendo DS. Eventually I would get back into Pokemon with X and Y, but I basically never played Diamond and Pearl or Black and White 1 and 2. So I'm probably missing out. This is a fun story. So, last time I was in Japan was in 2023. It was like a year or 2 ago, and I was with some friends, and they all left a little bit before me. So I was in Japan alone, and I took a day trip to Yokohama. Yokohama was having a Pokemon event at the time for the trading card game, where they had a display of all sorts of different Pokemon cards. So I went there to see the display, and it was awesome. If I can, I'll put some video here, but it's on my other YouTube channel. Maybe I'll link it in the description if you want to see the vlog. But anyway, when I was in Yokohama, I went to a shopping center near the train station, and they had a book off. And if you don't know what book off is, it's almost like a Goodwill. But secondhand stores in Japan are nice because on top of everything being very clean and well taken care of, it's all pretty cheap. So I was able to get this. This actually came with the box. I have the box over there, and that's hard to find. The box is a little beat up. And the other thing is, the battery is dead. You can see there's a circle in there. That's the battery. That's how you save the game. All of the other Pokemon games I have, the batteries are either still working or have been replaced. And I could replace this battery. I have replacement batteries, but I'm not that great at it. And so I will have to watch a guide and make sure I do it correctly. So, but you can see there, that battery's dead. It needs to be replaced. Because if I put this in right now, it will say there's no game save file. And that pretty much only happens when it's a new game or when its battery's failed. So, I would like to play this game. I would like to do some shiny hunting. But unfortunately, the battery's dead, so I can't do anything yet. Yeah, I think that was game like 7. Let's get off of Pokemon real quick. This is another Japanese RPG, Kingdom Hearts, Chain of Memories. Now, if you've ever played Kingdom Hearts, typically it's an RPG that's 3D, and it originally was kind of a crossover between Disney and Final Fantasy. But with the more recent games, they've kind of left out the Final Fantasy characters, and it's mostly just original characters and Disney characters like Mickey, Donald, and Goofy. But anyway, this was the only Kingdom Hearts game I really played growing up. I watched friends play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, but I quite enjoyed this game. It's got a different style of combat. It's turn-based, but you create a deck of cards, and you can choose which cards you want in there. And then after you beat the game, you can play the whole thing again, but as a different character. But they have a specific set of cards that they can use. And so it's a different challenge because you can't pick the cards. So, I quite liked this game. I've only beaten it one time, and I believe that they've remade this in 3D. But if I'm gonna play it this is my only Gen 3 game right now. I actually have some others, but they ended up being fake. So again, when you're buying English games, there's a lot of fakes out there, so you gotta be careful. One way you can tell is in this corner here. They've got these like 4 squares. That's a legitimate game. Most fake ones don't have that on the back. That's the nice thing about Pokemon games, is most of them you can see through them, so you can tell if they're fake right away. This is a real one. I got this in Japan myself. It was only $20, but an American copy of this game would go for like 70 to 100, maybe even more, depending on if the battery works. This one, again, I have a save right in front of the professor, so I'm shiny hunting a Trico. It's a little bit harder than the other one, because you have to remember to press left, but it is less button presses, so it should be quicker. But I quite enjoy this game. This is the last great Pokemon game, in my opinion. They just don't make them like this anymore. And this one has one of the best stories before things got kind of crazy. But it kind of set the tone for the series going forward. So I think this is the perfect blend of, if somebody was just getting started on Pokemon, Ruby and Sapphire is a great place to start. Because it establishes everything you need to know. And it has a lot of the best Pokemon in it still. So Pokemon Ruby, one of my favorite games of all time. When I bought that game, I also bought a copy of Sapphire, but I gave that one to my brother. So hopefully he likes it. Sorry, that was super loud. This is hard to do. I don't know how people whisper for so long. I'm going to try to wrap this up because it's starting to hurt. Ow. Jet Set Radio. Jet Grind Radio. One of the best games for Dreamcast. They made a Game Boy version, and I bought it. This game is very expensive for no reason. I paid $60 for this. If you want it in the box, it's $200 for no reason. Anyway, it's a great game, except this version is kind of doo-doo. If you've ever played the Tony Hawk games for the Game Boy, it kind of plays like that. It's top-down isometric view, so you're looking down on the character as opposed from behind. And that's how they did a lot of sport games like that back in the day for handhelds, because it's so hard to see your character. Anyway, I'm a huge fan of Jet Set Radio, so I had to have it because I have every other game, but it's not that great. Okay, sorry, my voice is about to give out, so I have to finish, but it's the last game. Pokemon Puzzle Challenge. There's a version of this for the N64 called Pokemon Puzzle League. It's a puzzle game where you rotate blocks to match them and make them disappear. You can match the shape or the color, and you can create chain reactions. It's a very standard puzzle game, but it's one of my favorites, and it has a story mode based on the story of Pokemon Gold and Silver. So you travel from town to town and challenge the gym leaders, and you pick a Pokemon. I don't think picking a Pokemon does anything, but you can unlock other Pokemon as you go, so it's cool. Anyway, as you can tell, I mostly have Pokemon games. I'm going to maybe be interested in streaming Pokemon on my Twitch channel when I get a chance. This has been my first ASMR video, and hopefully you guys liked it. Sorry, it was mostly me rambling, but maybe that was good. Sorry, I'm just putting everything back. I like the sound of them jostling around, though. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm gonna go back to shiny hunting for Totodile. Let me know in the comments if you like this video, and if you want to see more ASMR from me. let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see. My name's Max. Thanks for watching.